we're looking at the posterior leg. Remember, in anatomy, the leg is between the knee and the ankle, whereas above that is going to be the thigh. So on the posterior leg, there's actually quite a bit going on here. I'm going to remove the hamstrings on the thigh because some of the things that we see on the leg actually start a little bit above the knee. This first muscle we see is the gastrocnemius. The gastrocnemius is actually a beautifully named muscle. It comes from the Greek gastroc, meaning belly, nem, meaning below the knee, and of course most muscles end in is or us. So gastrocnemius means the muscle that has a little belly below the knee. It's beautifully named. It has two heads. It has on the medial side the medial head and the lateral side the lateral head. We know we're on the medial side if we look down and see the big toe. That's how we know that we are on the medial side. The origin of gastrocnemius medial head is the medial epicondyle of the femur, and lateral head would be the lateral epicondyle of the femur. Both of these insert onto tendocalcaneus, which inserts onto the calcaneal bone in the heel. If we pull this apart, let me talk about the action first. Because it crosses the knee joint, it does have an action on the knee. It is going to be a weak flexor of the knee. Its main action, however, is it's going to be a very strong plantar flexor of the foot. So now let's look at the muscle below that. If we look below it, there's a flat muscle here. This is soleus. Soleus originates on the soleal line of the tibia and also inserts onto calcaneus via tendocalcaneus. So we have three muscle bellies, the lateral head, the medial head of gastrocnemius and soleus. These three muscles come together to form triceps surae. That means the three-headed calf, and these are your calf muscles. Soleus is a very powerful plantar flexor of the foot. So gastrocnemius and soleus all have the same action of plantar flexion. We have a little muscle here with a very long tendon. This muscle is called plantaris. For this class, we simply need to identify this. This is also a plantar flexor of the foot. This does insert onto calcaneus, but not by the tendocalcaneus. We have another muscle here, which goes at an angle. It has a rotational angle, a very slight rotational angle. This muscle is called popliteus, and popliteus is going to unlock our knees when they're in the locked position. And again, for this class, we're simply going to identify it. When we come down the back of the leg, we have three muscles, 1, 2, 3, that are deep to our triceps surae. These are the flexor digitorum longus, tibialis posterior here in the middle, and then flexor hallucis longus. The reason why I was getting a little bit mixed up is that these muscles are going to change order. When we come down here, this is our medial malleolus. The first tendon that passes the medial malleolus is our tibialis posterior. The second one is our flexor digitorum longus, and the third one is our flexor hallucis longus. So the mnemonic for remembering this is Tom, Dick, and Harry. Tom being tibialis posterior, Dick being flexor digitorum longus, and Harry being flexor hallucis longus. But if you'll notice, Tom, tibialis anterior, goes under and crosses and becomes the second muscle, whereas our second tendon, Harry, flexor hallucis longus, crosses over and becomes our first muscle. So if we say Tom, Dick, and Harry down here behind the medial malleolus, we're going to have to change mnemonics because we change order up here by the back posterior side of the leg. Instead, we could say done time in heaven or done time in hell, depending on your view of anatomy. Dun being flexor digitorum longus, time being tibialis posterior, and hell or heaven being flexor hallucis longus. Now the interesting thing about all of our posterior muscles here in the leg, including the ones that I've removed here, the triceps surae, is they all share a common innervation and a common blood supply. If we look up here coming out of the popliteal region, the artery was our popliteal artery. As we come down, the first branch coming off the popliteal artery is our anterior tibial artery. This goes around and supplies the anterior compartment muscles. Then we have, after this bifurcation, the continuation is our posterior tibial artery. Posterior tibial artery supplies all of the posterior tibial muscles. We also have another second branch here, which is our fibular artery. This one is going to go around and innervate our, supply our tibia, our fibularis longus and fibularis brevis. That's our fibular artery. Also, if we go back up here to the top, our sciatic nerve is going to divide into our common fibular. That's this one here. Common fibular supplies, it innervates biceps femoris short head, then comes down and splits and becomes superficial fibular, which does our lateral compartment, fibularis longus and brevis, and it also divides into deep fibular, which does our anterior compartment. The other nerve here, tibial, comes back and innervates everything in the back of the leg. So in terms of learning this, learn it by compartment. If you're in your posterior leg, these are the two structures that are of the most relevance. That's our posterior tibial artery and tibial nerve. I didn't mention the insertion points of our Tom, Dick, and Harry, or Dun, Time, and Hell, depending on which mnemonic you're using. The first tendon, which is the second muscle, our tibialis posterior, is going to insert at the base of the first metatarsal. The second tendon, which is the first muscle, that's our flexor digitorum longus, is going to insert on the plantar surface of the distal phalanx of digits 2, 3, 4, and 5. And our third tendon, which is our third muscle, our flexor hallucis longus, is going to insert on the plantar surface of the distal first phalanx. What's the metatarsal? Okay. The other structure that we do not see coming around the just anterior to the medial malleolus is our great saphenous vein, and unfortunately we don't see this on the model, but we do see the ones going behind it. Tom, tibialis posterior, Dick, flexor digitorum longus, and naughty, so that's the artery, posterior tibial artery. Naughty would be the nerve, tibial nerve, and Harry, which is our flexor hallucis longus.